Like and subscribe and click the bell icon to get new video updates.
Netflix's Texas Chainsaw Massacre deals in gory kills and a messy agenda. It's easy to see why filmmakers keep trying to build a franchise around Leatherface, the hulking masked maniac first introduced in the 1974 splatter classic The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, Freddy Krueger and Chucky, or even like Frankenstein's monster and Dracula, Leatherface has a familiar name and a ghoulish visage, highly marketable to fright fans. If there were a Mount Rushmore of horror movie villains, Leatherface would be on it. Yet for nearly 4 decades now, from the first Chainsaw sequel in 1986 to Netflix's new film, confusingly titled Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the idea of a Leatherface series has never really caught on. Every few years, it seems, someone takes a shot at rebooting or restarting the whole Chainsaw cinematic universe, with the intention of making multiple installments. When the whole project inevitably fizzles, another set of writers, directors, and producers comes on board and starts over again. Netflix's new Texas Chainsaw Massacre has a large creative team, not all of whom were involved from start to finish. The major names to know are Fede Álvarez and Sayagues, who co-wrote the story and are among the movie's producers. Newcomer Chris Thomas Devlin is the credited screenwriter, while David Blue Garcia is the director, having taken over mid-production from Andy and Ryan Tohill. Álvarez and Sayagues previously collaborated on the well-received 2013 Evil Dead reboot, and on the first 2 entries in the Don't Breathe series. If there's a theme uniting their work, this chainsaw included, it has to do with broken and abandoned spaces, and the sometimes shifty people who nestle deep within them. The new film stars Elsie Fisher, best known as the heartbreakingly optimistic 8th grader in 8th grade, as Leela, a moody teen who joins her sister Melody, Sarah Yarkin, and their foodie friend Dante, Jacob Lattimore, on a trip to the dinky, devastated Texas town of Harlow, where these entrepreneurial young folks have purchased some run-down real estate in hopes of establishing an affordable hipster haven. When they arrive, they're surprised to find that one of the dirt-cheap old homes they thought they bought is still occupied by an adult old lady, who really doesn't want to leave. The senior citizen, it turns out, is the mother of Leatherface, Marc Burnham. And when these cocky kids cause his mom's health to go downhill, the angry lug embarks on a rampage that has him hacking his way through several of Melody and Dante's visiting West Coast tech brothers and influencers. Leatherface's return also draws one of his old victims out of her seclusion, Sally Hardesty, Olwen Fouéré, the lone survivor of the 1974 massacre, who has been training herself for a rematch ever since. This Texas Chainsaw Massacre is intended as a direct sequel to the first film, set in a world where the massacre itself has become an infamous murder mystery, covered in a TV true crime documentary narrated by the original movie's narrator, John LaRoquette. The 1974 Chainsaw, the only one where chain and saw are separated in the title, was directed by Tobe Hooper and written by Hooper with Kim Henkel, working with a cast of Austin area hippies and theater kids. Hooper was looking to break into Hollywood with a cheap drive-in movie that would double as a commentary on how Vietnam-era America had become numb to violence. He and Henkel tell a simple, almost folktale-like story about Sally, played by the late Marilyn Burns, and her friends visiting the old Hardesty family estate and inadvertently stumbling across a nearby house owned by an eccentric clan of cannibals, including the savage Leatherface, the late Gunnar Hansen. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre is grubby, relentless, and genuinely shocking, thanks in part to a few good trust-nobody twists, akin to Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho. Both Psycho and Chainsaw are very loosely inspired by the real-life crimes of the rural Wisconsin grave robber and murderer Ed Gein. Hooper and screenwriter L.M. Kit Carson took a different approach with 1986's The Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, making a bigger-budget horror comedy that amped up both the gore and the social satire. The first sequel offers a wildly imaginative vision of Texas as an anything-goes libertarian wonderland, where dangerous weirdos are largely left alone by their neighbors and allowed to build mini-empires out in the sticks. The Chainsaw movies since then have been a motley lot. Most of them have continued Hooper and Company's cockeyed commentary on Texas culture, and all have centered Leatherface, a mute man-child wearing a mask made out of human skin. All 5 of the films made in the 21st century, including the new one, have also followed the modern horror franchise trend of trying to reassemble